Hey y'all. Okay, we're back to this. I got a different setup here. And of course, I got my it's an art thing you wouldn't understand shirt on. Okay, now part 2, story 4, the test of love. That's what this episode's called. As Eve stood there by the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, listening to the soft spoken words of the serpent, the first doubt entered her mind. God said that if she ate of this tree, she would die. Now the serpent said she wouldn't die. Who was right? Could it be that God had not told the truth? Oh, good question. As she thought it over, the serpent followed with another evil thought. Followed with another evil thought. He said, For God doeth not do know that in the day ye eat therefore, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Oh, King James. That's what this is from. Okay? Thus he suggested that God had been unfair to her and Adam, that he was holding back something that belonged to them. There is a sly hint too. There was a sly hint too that God was jealous of them, afraid that they might become wise like as himself. Good twist. Let's get back. It was very wicked and mean for the serpent to say such things when God had been so good to Adam and Eve. But Satan is like that. He always working against God, always suggesting, and then no illustration, always suggesting unkind and hateful things, always trying to make trouble and separate friends. That suggestion of okay, that suggestion of his about knowing good and evil roused Eve's curiosity. Up to that moment, she had not known anything about evil. She may even had asked herself what Satan means by the word. What is evil like? Then she thought it might be nice to find out. That's always dangerous. It's the first step along a path of trouble and sorrow. We never, wait, that's not what it says. We need to be ever on the guard against suggestions to try some wrong thing to learn how it feels or how it tastes. We should not seek to know evil. We are far better off without such knowledge. No one has to put his hand into a bucket of tar to know it's black. I'm just reading what it says. Little by little, Eve surrendered to Satan's tricks. First, she began to doubt God's word. Then it seemed as though it wouldn't matter much if she disobeyed him. Then she was ready to touch the forbidden fruit. And then, of course, it does have an illustration on here. That's the illustration. And let's get back to what it says. Finally, the temptation was more than she could stand. She reached out her hand and took the fruit and ate it. The taste was delightful. She wondered why she didn't hes she she wondered why she had hesitated so long. Surely the serpent might be right after all. God couldn't possibly have meant to keep her from eating a fruit as lovely as this. And she gathered more and took it to Adam, explaining to him what happened, and he did eat. No doubt he said to her, "But I thought God told us not to eat this fruit." She said, and she probably said, "Oh, it's quite all right. The serpent told me I wouldn't die. And you see, nothing has happened to me. Maybe God made a mistake." But God did not make a mistake. He had a good reason to tell Adam and Eve not to eat of that tree. It was his way of finding out if they really loved him. He had given them so much, everything, every good thing he could think of, and he earned he yearned for their love in return. Gotta slow down. Sometimes I talk too fast. Did they really love him? Would they love him always? How could he be sure? There is one never failing test of love, and that is obedience. If we were truly if we truly love father and mother, we will gladly obey them. So it was that God told Adam and Eve not to eat of that tree. It was a simple test. If they had loved him sincerely with all their hearts, they wouldn't have touched it. Then God would have let them live forever. Seeing they disobeyed him and ate of the tree, he knew he couldn't trust them. So they would have to die and go back to the dust from which he had taken them. And that was a sad day. What a sad day it was. How much was at stake in that little test? If they only had known. And there's no illustration. And we turn to the next page. At last, they failed the test, both of them, and no sooner had they eaten of the fruit, they knew something was the matter. Something had gone wrong. For the first time in their lives, they felt worried. What would God think of them? They wondered, and what would he say to them? Then came fear as a day dagger dragged. Okay. Then came fear. As the day dragged wearily on, and evening shadows lengthened, they talked in frightened whispers. Somehow all happiness had suddenly gone out of their lives. For the first time they felt sad, miserable, and wretched. So was no joy for them in Eden anymore. They wanted only to run away and hide. What a pity. But isn't that the result of disobedience even today? It just spoils everything, doesn't it? And then, of course, it does have an illustration. them talking after they eat the fruit. You saw how worried Adam looked. And of course, in this watercolor, it has the thing, has that. Okay, well, that's story 4. And we'll be going to story 5 in just a minute.